All right, everybody. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. We got a stream coming up in about 3 hours, the Hawks Nest. We're going to talk a little bit about the Cardinals game. Going to be talking about the Rams game. Going to talk about whatever else in Seahawks land is going on right now. You guys know how we do it, so definitely tune into that. Going to go live at about noon Pacific. And before we get there, I do have a video, the rooting guide for this week of NFL football. I know that most of you guys were expecting the pass coverage video, but the data hasn't been put out yet as of me recording this video. So until I see it, I can't update it because the numbers are going to be different than what was on PFF, and that difference is part of the reason why I like to do PFR, and then earlier in the week I do PFF. So if that data gets pushed out, I'll make that video a little bit later today. Be right back. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today, get to it, and go have some fun with sports this year. Okay, so welcome back, and let's start with tonight's game, which I got nothing. I don't really have much. Jets, Patriots. I guess Tampa Bay lost to New England, so maybe strength of schedule says we want the Jets to win, but super thin. Honestly, don't invite the stress of having a rooting interest in that game. So whichever way you want to go. Going to Sunday now, we've got another Europe game, Madrid, whatever, 6:30 a.m. game. So that's going to be a great game to not bother watching, especially a game like this. It's pretty much unthinkable at this point that the Commanders are going to have a second half of season resurgence. So I don't think we need to waste the energy into rooting for them to lose. So I'm kind of like, root for whoever you want to root for here. I don't think there's much of a vested interest in having the Commanders lose games because of playoff stuff. They're obviously not going to make it. They'd have to win out, and they're not winning out. They don't have their quarterback. They don't have Terry McLaurin. What's the point? I guess you could say you want the Commanders to win just so they get a worse draft pick. But again, you got to reach deep. You got to reach deep to find a rooting interest there. So I wouldn't even bother. Panthers, Falcons. This one writes itself, right? Panthers are the bigger threat to be a wild card team at this point. They're a bigger threat to be a playoff team. So we want them to lose. And the Falcons are giving their first round pick to the Rams. So we want them to start stringing together some wins. And this is going to be like, I don't want to say a rare opportunity for the Falcons to win a game, but we kind of need to see them win this game so we can see some sparks. Because if they can't beat the Panthers at home in the Dome, then they may not be winning more than one or two more games the rest of the way. And at that point, everything's just a disaster. Real quick, let me tell you about my dad's metal art and some charity stuff. Hey everybody, Seahawks Brendan Nelson here to show you some really cool steel art for the 50th anniversary of the Seahawks and a Mariners medallion too, like the ones pictured above my head. My dad, aka Metal Hawk, has met over 300 Seahawks, dozens of Mariners, and some Sonics in his time, and now he's making unique steel art, special edition, and it can be yours for a donation directly to Fans for Good. Click the Facebook link down below for complete instructions. Back to the video. Okay, so yeah, Falcons, we want them to win there. Tampa Bay, Buffalo, that's another pretty easy one. A pretty easy one. And Tampa Bay still pretty beat up. We need them to keep losing games while they are beat up, because once they get some of the guys back, and I don't know if they're going to get all of them back, but as they get these guys back, they're going to be very dangerous. And the more they get pushed down right now, the better. So that's a relative no-brainer. Texans, Titans. We beat the Texans, but we're also going to play the Titans. And I don't think there's a person on the planet that expects us to lose to the Titans. So by the time we play this game, it's not going to mean much there. By the time we play the Titans, I mean, this is not going to mean much that way. However, the Niners lost to the Texans and are probably going to beat the Titans when they play them. I don't think they played each other yet. I don't remember them playing each other yet. So, therefore, I guess you would rather the... I guess you would rather the Texans win. I guess you'd rather the Texans win because you don't want the Titans' strength of victory to get pushed up. Deep cuts, but it's something. Bears, Vikings. So this is another one of those games where it's like, do you want to risk things getting crowded, or do you want to risk having a team get hot and really start to make a run at a top seed in the second half of the year? Now, the thing with the Bears, they got a really tough schedule. I was talking about this with my friend who's a Bears fan the other day. They could very feasibly end up with 8 wins this year without playing that badly. They could actually be an 8-9 team that does the right thing more or less the rest of the season, and it just doesn't break their way. So I'm not too worried, but I think that it's still better for the Vikings to win. I'm definitely not sure. I'm definitely not confident. I think you can make an argument the Vikings are more likely to get hot because they went all out in the offseason to really try to build out that roster. And I do think that there's an argument to be made that the Vikings are the team that you're afraid of just catching fire and winning maybe 6 of their last 7. And the Bears, not so much. But I don't know. I don't know. I'll say we want the Vikings to win, and we'll see if I end up regretting that later. I definitely could. Not going to regret this one later, though. Packers, Giants, that's a pretty easy one. Definitely want the Giants. There's nothing to root against at this point. The Giants could win out and probably still miss the playoffs. Packers remain a clear playoff team in the NFC, but there are some problems going on there, man. We got problems in Green Bay for sure. So if the Giants could continue the problems, I would certainly not object. Bengals, Steelers. Again, we beat the Steelers this year, so I think we're just going to keep rooting for them. Doesn't seem like we're going to get a great team out of them this year, but we can at least get a decent team, push that strength of victory and strength of schedule up a little bit. So, yeah, may as well root for the Steelers. Chargers, Jaguars. We beat the Jaguars, and the Niners did not. So that may come into play later. So we're just going to keep rooting for Jacksonville to win to help the strength of victory, help the strength of schedule. Why not, right? Chargers doesn't really mean anything to us either way. Then we go to the 1 p.m. slot, the afternoon slate. We've got Niners versus Cardinals. I think this one's pretty obvious. I don't think I need to expand on that. This is the kind of game that we really would appreciate it if the Niners could find a way to lose. Because again, with their schedule, they only have a handful of games the rest of the way that are even really on the table for them to lose. So, yeah, definitely rooting for the Cardinals here. I'm not worried about the Cardinals springing to life in the second half of the year here. I mean, we already swept them, right? So even if they do get back into it, we're going to have that tiebreaker over them for sure. And I just don't think they have it. Now, they really don't have it this week because they don't have Marvin Harrison. They don't have Zay Jones. Jacoby Brissett's going to be thrown to nobody. But regardless, hoping for it. Ravens, Browns. Not much here. Can't really think of much, I guess. The Rams beat the Ravens, so we want the Browns to win, I guess. I can't think of too much else. Like that's probably the most important thing at play here for the Seahawks. We want the Browns to win because the Ravens already lost to the Rams. And we don't play the Ravens this year or the Browns. Chiefs Broncos. Chiefs Broncos. Whichever. I don't think there's much to say here. I think that this is a root for whoever makes you happier to root for type game for sure. Lions Eagles. Again, this is another one of those games where it's like, would you rather take the risk of things getting a little bit crowded, or would you rather take the risk of one team just launching up to the 1 seed? Now, it's a little different here. The Lions are pretty clearly a playoff team right now, I think. I don't see any way that they're not. And it's not really making things more crowded if the Lions keep winning games because they're already there. And the Eagles, meanwhile, are the current top seed in the NFC. We're going to need them to lose a game or two at some point. So, yeah, we want the Lions to win. And there could be negative consequences to that later, but we're not going to worry about that too much right now. And finally, we got Cowboys Raiders. I mean, the Cowboys, I know the assumption will be they're out of it, but honestly, like, I think they got to lose one more game before we feel like they're for sure out of it. At 3-5-1, I think one more loss, especially if it comes to a team like the Raiders, that would just take care of it. That would help get rid of any concerns you might have that they're going to find their way back into this. So, yeah, definitely rooting for the Raiders there. And that's about it. That's it for your rooting guide. Colts and Saints on bye weeks this week. So we are down one game, but that's actually fewer teams on a bye than we usually get. All right, everybody, see ya later. Streaming in less than 3 hours. Go Hawks. Everybody have a good rest of your day.